What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to another review here. Thomas opened, and I'm doing one of my English reviews, which, been a while. Tried to do them a little bit more here and there, and I figured today I was going to focus on a Moersleutel beer. I know that I've got some viewers in the UK, and I know that you guys are getting Moersleutel these days, I believe. So, if any of you've seen this beer or can get this beer and figured, you know what, I'm going to try and see what I think about it. I'd love to hear your opinion. It is a barley wine in the Four Elements series, which is a non-adjunct beer series. Moersleutel is known for many adjunct stouts and barley wines and others. But this is their pure four core, the Four Elements, as they would say, non-adjunct beer series. And the funny thing here, it's a barley wine, 11%, 6 grains. And the grains are a barley, oats, wheat, spelt, rye, and emmer. And emmer is a very, I'm not sure if it's a pure Dutch grain, but I've had a few beers with emmer in it. Emmer as an E-M-M-E-R, emmer. Google it. And there's no story time on it. Usually they have a lot of story time on it, and this time it doesn't, and that's fun for me. The canning date of this beer is 14th of December 2023. Today is June the 2nd, so, we're talking about 6 months. It's a barley wine, okay? It's a barley wine. It's gonna be fine. The ingredients are water, barley malt, oats, wheat, spelt, rye, emmer, cassonade sugar. I've never heard of cassonade sugar. I'm gonna quickly Google that. Assuming this old phone still has a little bit of battery life, it is nearly dead. It is nearly dead. This is my old phone, my backup phone. I usually use it. Cassonade or cassonada? Cassonade sugar. We would call it bastardsuiker. Okay, now I know exactly what it is. Okay, so basically it's what it is it's fine crystal sugar with a little bit of sugar syrup or caramel. That's it. Okay, so basically sugar. Huh. It's gonna be a sweet barley wine. Moersleutel and a sweet beer. Who'd have thunk it? The Moersleutel, Lawrence. I need to clean this glass a little bit more. I've got hard water, so sometimes I forget to rinse them out properly, and then I get these, or I rinse them out and I don't dry them properly, but whatever. So yeah, that pours like a barley wine. That pours like that very dark. I wouldn't be surprised if in the glass it's going to look almost black to you guys. So I wouldn't be surprised if you guys would think that this is black, but it really isn't. It is insanely dark brown. Dark brown, not dark brown. ADHD much? No, ADD much. ADHD? ADD? A little bit of both. A little bit of both. It's got a lovely little sort of like caramel, slightly caramelly, light caramelly, mocha colored head. It looks a part of a barley wine. Now, I've had barley wines from Moersleutel, which I liked, and I've had a few that I thought were like basically okay, but nothing that spectacular. And I do honestly believe that brewing a proper barley wine isn't as easy as some people think it is. It is an art. It is definitely an art. And one that not everybody can pull off 100%, if you're asking for my humble opinion on the subject. So let's see what this does in the nose, shall we? That's very grainy, and not in a bad way. Grainy as in you can definitely, there's a lot of things going on. There's a slight nutty note, which you can get from both the spelt and the emmer. There's that dry peppery thing from the rye. The wheat is definitely like doing its thing, the wheat thing. If you've had plenty of wheat beers, wheat, like WHEAT, not weed. I'm spelling it out for the Dutch people, by the way, because a lot of Dutch people would just mix up wheat and weed and go like, oh, you said weed. No, I didn't. Um, it's doing its thing. Oats. It said oats, right? Oats. Sometimes oats can really have a distinct nose, like a smell for me in a beer, and even on the palate you can get it. Sometimes it's just there for more mouthfeel, and I'm suspecting that here it's just there for a bit more mouthfeel because it poured and it swirls pretty thick. You know, it's 11% ABV. It has the body to back it up. There's a sweet sugary note. It's quite earthy. It's quite earthy, and even though there is quite a sugary note in the nose, and maybe that's the rye, I don't know, but it doesn't come off as cloyingly sweet. It has a specific dryness, even a bitterness in the note, and it has that bitterness that goes towards like caramel, the caramelized sugar. Caramel is sugar, of course. Like the caramelized sugar that is turning towards almost burnt. It's not burning yet, but you know that if you're not going to be careful, it's going to get burned. And sometimes that's sort of near like that burned bitter note kind of works in a caramel. And it has a slight hint of that. I'm okay with it. It's not earth shattering. I had like the one of the most classic English barley wines a week ago, and which I preferred a lot more. It's going toward that black barley wine territory. You know what I mean? If you go Google black barley wines, it has a lot more of that deep dark roast of the grains in it, which I like every now and then, but it's not my favorite type of barley wine. It's almost got like that sort of muscovado. And there's this hint of something vanilla-ish. Almost like an extra sweetness. It's nice. It's nice. I'm I'm okay with it. I'm not. My mind isn't blown. And like I said, I feel that the barley wine isn't Moersleutel's strongest beer style. You know, they've done a few that I really like, but I feel that their strength really lies at, of course, their pastry stouts and their barrel aged beers. And they've done some IPAs in the past that were pretty fucking okay. Even one or two kettle sours. Barley wines are a hit and miss thing for them. And when it's a miss, it's not like it's bad, but it's just sort of like you're okay with drinking it, but you're left wondering, was this really a barley wine or just something else? Let's take a sip and see what we can find, shall we? Cheers. There's even that licorice thing that so many of those Moersleutel stouts have. Look, I'm not offended by it. I can drink this. I like it. It's thick, it's syrupy, it's sweet. It's got like this sort of burned sugar bitterness going on. There's a slight nutty note from the spelt and the emmer. And again, the rye is really a thing here. I don't know what the percentages are. Rye is the fifth named of all the six grains used, but I don't know what the ratios are. There is definitely that rye peppery dryness going on. I love that, and I'm a big rye man. Rye bread, rye whiskey, rye beer, you name it, it's my thing. It's my jam. So this I can drink. It has that sort of spicy note, not spicy, but spices note, together with. So I'm going towards like the Christmas cake thing. Christmas cake, the classic British Christmas cake, and we in the Netherlands have something called a stol, I think it's very German as well, and I think maybe people from the UK might know it. And if you have a stole, it's a bread, and it's got like dried fruits in it. So you get the dried fruit thing, like dried raisins, things like that. And it also has a crust that isn't burned, but it's dark, of course. And it has that sort of the dark crust of a stole. STOL, not, let's just Google it. And it's giving me that vibe. So again, in terms of its flavor profile and the nose, I'm drinking something that I can dig. But would I call this a barley wine? I mean, I suppose that in the grand scheme of what you say that a barley wine is like a strong fortified beer, like a high ABV beer that can have sweetness, bitterness, some spices maybe in it, a dryness to it, a soft herbaceous note. All of these things click, but it just doesn't really do for me what I think of when I drink a barley wine. Again, the beer that I had last week, it was Marbles 2022 barley wine. Um, it ticked all the boxes for a proper English barley wine for me, which is my favorite version of a barley wine. And there's also the American barley wine, which is a completely different animal, very much more aggressively hopped, which also here is not the case. And it feels like it goes places. It's going places, and it felt like a beer that kind of lost its definition. And maybe this is one of those things. I've had a beer similar to this not that long ago, which I liked, but it's a matter of overthinking the recipe. Like the process is way too convoluted. You want to brew a barley wine, make it a barley wine. It's not a grain wine, it's a barley wine. You put six grains in here, and it's creating a wonderful palette of smells and and flavors and everything that's going on. But I can't classify this as a barley wine. And here's a selling point thing, okay? If Moersleutel, and this is what I would have called it, if Moersleutel had put that on the can, most people would have gone like, strong dark ale. Strong dark ale. This is a strong dark ale. And it works. I don't feel that I'm drinking a barley wine. I'm drinking a several grain wine. And that isn't a bad thing in itself. And now that I've switched that knob in a different position, I can enjoy this a lot more. I'm not drinking a barley wine. I'm drinking a strong dark ale. And in that sense, it really works. And I like it. It feels more old school. It feels more, real old world, old fashioned. I don't know. It feels like this is what I think of in my head when I think of what were the beers of old, the ales of yonder times. Yonder times? The ales of yonder? I don't know how to... What were they drinking back then, eh? This is what I think of. For some weird reason, this is what I think of when I think of the old stuff. Is what I think this would be. But it's not a barley wine. It's not a barley wine. It's nice. I would even venture to say it's pretty delicious. Just not a barley wine. Yeah. Make of it what you will. And that's it for this review. If you liked it, hit that like button. If you really liked it, hit that subscribe button. In the description box below, you'll find links to all of my social media, a link to the Dutch Beer Collective and mysterybeer.nl. do me a favor and start following my buddies in the Dutch Beer Collective. Remy, Beer Geek Holland, Douglas, Beers with Douglas, and Gerben, Dutch Beer Geek. Together we formed the Dutch Beer Collective. Thank you. Big shout out to my buddy Martijn, who made both of those websites for us. You're the OG, dude. You're the MPV. And that's it for this review. Leave some comments. I'll see all you guys in another review soon. Cheers.